Hello, and welcome back to Diecast Graveyard. My name is Paul. Well, the folks at Bone Shaker Central have called upon me again to do their club cars for 2020. We have 100 bone shakers that we have to do. Now, you may see a few more there. I put mine there just to make the picture look bigger. But let's start out by drilling the cars out. Every single one of these cars have got to be drilled out. Fortunately, they all only have one post holding it on. First thing I do is drill out the center of the post. It tends to make the taking off of the shroud or the mushroom piece that holds it together off a little bit easier. It's just something that I found out over the years. But that's what we're going to do. We're going to take these cars and drill them all out. I've sped things up here to make it a little less painful for you. I mean, you've seen cars drilled out before. Now we're taking out the flange that holds the car together. This way here you don't have to drill as deep either when you're putting in the screws. I've also sped up this section. That's what you're looking for, that little circle there. This is going to be a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, man, I'll tell you. Got to take all these cars apart. Now, we decided to go with the Boulevard bone shakers this time, but we're going to make these a lot different for sure. Not only are we going to paint them, but we're also going to close in the roof, which is going to be pretty awesome. We'll talk about that more when it gets to it. This is looking really good here. All right, I think you've seen enough of this. Let's go ahead and move on. Now we've got to file down all the posts to take that rough edge off. Just go ahead and file them nice and flat. You just don't want to file them down too far. Just enough to where you can start to drill the hole for the screws that you're going to put in to hold the cars together. Now with these cars we're going to use the 2-56 screws, and we're going to use the 3/16 length. A 100 cars. This is just all the prep work you have to do if you're going to do a project this big. Let's move on. We've got all the cars here. Now we're going to go ahead and throw them in the embalming fluid, or the paint stripper. I call it embalming fluid. Why? Because the page name is Diecast Graveyard, you know, death and dismemberment and all that stuff. So let's go ahead and put in probably a good 25 or 30 cars. And we'll cover it up with the citrus strip, aka embalming fluid. And we're going to let that sit for a few hours at least. I like to let it sit overnight usually. Now by pouring it in like this, you're liable to have cars that don't either get the citrus strip on there, or the paint doesn't come off all the way. Once you get them out of there and you get them scrubbed down, if you got some stubborn paint in there, you may have to re-strip it.
Meanwhile, back in the graveyard.
Now that we got them out of the stripper, we're going to go ahead and put the roof panels in. Now we're going to file these down. These panels were made by Bearcat Designs. Now, Grizz over there at Bearcat Designs, I told him what I needed, and in a few days he had these for me. Check out Grizz at Bearcat Designs. He does a lot of great stuff there, and his website is www.bearcat3ddesigns.com. Check him out. A little bit of filing, a little bit of moving. Once you figure out how many times you have to file the top, the bottom, and the sides, every time you get one, you can count it out. Like I know that when I do the front piece, I gotta move it up and down the rasp 25 times. Same thing in the back. On the sides, I do that 20 times, and on the other side, I do that 20 times. And then by the time I go through all that, I may have to just make a small, tiny adjustment. But other than that, you know exactly what you're doing. This one here is a little bit snug, but we did get it to fit. Looking good. Bearcat Designs did a great job on these roof panels. Now that we got the roof in place, we're going to put a drop of super glue on either side. This is the really light liquid kind. Let it run down the seam. Flip it over, and what I did is I put it in the helping hands to keep it up off the desk so it doesn't glue to the desk. And then I start rotating them out. I've got 2 sets of helping hands there, and as I do another one, I'll rotate it out. I'll put the one that's been drying longer out of the rack, and then I'll put the next one in, and then I'll just keep alternating back and forth. Okay, now that we got the roof panels all dry, we're going to fill in the top of the panels with putty to fill in any low seams. I'm using the Tamiya putty here, but later on you may notice that the color of the putty changes because I switched to like a spot putty or a glazing putty that I picked up at AutoZone. It was only like $7 or $8 for a tube, but it works really well. Same thing here. Put the putty on, squeegee it out, and then we're going to come back in later on and sand it down. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click on that little bell to be alerted to any future videos that come out. Now while it's damp, go ahead and remove any loose putty on the sides there. It'll save you a bunch of sanding later on. This is all stuff you're going to have to plan if you plan on doing a really big job, folks. Looking good. Let's move on. Now we're going to drill out the post here to accept the 2-56 screws. What I did, and you'll notice in the video if you look close, I colored in on the drill bit with a black marker how deep I have to go, or how deep in this case I can go. So if you're doing a lot of things, or if you're going to be doing all 256 screws or whatever like this, do this to your drill bits or put a piece of tape on there or something like that. It allows you to know exactly how deep you have to go into the post in order to accept the screw. This will save a lot of guesswork, and especially if you've got a short post and you don't want to drill past the post and into the trunk or the hood or whatever like that. Mark it, and then you won't have these problems. All right, 99 more to go. Now that we've got it all screwed or drilled out, we're going to put in a drop of oil, and we're going to use the 256 tap. I got this tap at the Redline shop. Now the tap handle I got at Bright Vision. I really love these light tap handles. They work extremely well, and they don't put any extra stress or weight on your post as you're tapping it out. Now that I got that tapped out, I'm going to put a screw in. And I always put the screw in until I'm ready to put the car together. I leave that screw in the post. There we go. Fits nice, it's snug, and it also is flush up to the post. Nice. I went ahead and painted the cars white, gloss white, and I used paint from the Redline shop. Now I'm getting them ready to put the decals on. Alright, now these decals, they were made by Kenny Terry at kennyterry.com. We got together with the admin folks from Bone Shaker Central, specifically Jesse James, and he said, this is what we want, what can you do with it? So I took the design, played around with it a bit, and talked to Kenny, and this is what he came up with. He did a fantastic job. So don't forget to contact Waterslide Decals, KennyTerry.com. He will take care of your custom needs. Beautiful, beautiful work. Man, that's sweet. It's going to be a great car this year, guys. Look at that. Kind of like the evil 4th of July. Fantastic. Look at that design. Kenny, hats off to you, brother. You did a fantastic job laying out the design on this thing. Take your time with them. Squeegee out all the excess water. Make sure they're nice and flat. Man, that looks good. Now let's get the door panels. They look even better. Now if you're thinking of doing a club car and you want to do something nice, these Boulevard cars came with the Real Rider tires. Now initially, we were talking about going with a car where the roof was already done. Problem is that the cars with the roofs already done, they don't have Real Riders, or if they do, they're very, very expensive. So I was talking to Jesse, I says, look, let's just go ahead and go with the Boulevard car or the Rocket League car from last year, and then they already come with the Real Riders and everything. You don't have to mess with them. All we'll have to do is plug the hole in the roof, which is what we opted for in this case, and it works out fantastic. Go ahead and smooth it all out, using that microset to help the decal lay better on the car. That's looking sweet. Let's move on. So here's the cars with all the decals done. Then we had to get in and spray them all with clear coat, not only to protect the car and the decals, but to make it nice and shiny. This is only a small portion of the cars, but Jesse's going to have these things by the 4th of July. So go to Bone Shaker Central on Facebook if you want one of these cars.
The very next morning.
The clear coat's all dry. Now we're going to put them together. Look how nice these cars look. The very first car done. It's almost like a little assembly plant there at Henry Ford headquarters. My cat says hello. This is looking good. And those 256 screws in this work excellent. You don't have to use washers if you're using the 1/72 screw. Looking good. This is the fun part of it, when all the painting and the decals and all the other stuff is done. Then you get to put them all back together. Look at that. Those cars look awesome. Oh, and they are all rollers too, so there you go. Let's move on. 100 Bone Shakers. This is how they looked when we started. We had to take them apart. We had to strip the paint. We had to drill out the post and put the screws in. We had to put the roof caps in. Then we had to putty them up and sand them down and get them ready. Now this is what they look like in the packaging. We've got the fold-up cars in the little baggies. The cards say 1 of 100. Look how nice that looks. Man, these are sweet. Now these are limited numbers, guys, so get over to Facebook and Bone Shaker Central. Talk to Jesse James. I'm not sure what he's charging for them, but it's worth every penny because these cars are awesome. Man, they look good. I'm so proud of this build. I got so many people I want to thank here too. I mean, of course, thanking the folks at Bone Shaker Central for the opportunity to do their club cars again. These were fantastic. Now, if you've got something that you want to have built or something like that, get a hold of me at Diecast Graveyard. My email address is in the comments block there in the About section on my YouTube page. Just send me an email and I'll be happy to answer any questions for you if you got something you want to have done, a custom car. Now look at these cards. Look how awesome they look. On the back, there's my logo, created for Bone Shaker Central by Diecast Graveyard, and in the corner, decals by KennyTerry.com. Please check him out. Man, that looks good. So get a hold of me if you need something. I'd like to thank my Patreon members, William K7 Robinson, Dale Johnson, Ed Ostrander, and new member Richard Reese. Thank you so much, Richard. I appreciate it. Jake Rademacher, Sam Pascal, Air Warrior Coffee, and Adam Bowen. Thank you, gentlemen. Check out John Sellers' YouTube page. He does some great builds, and we're going to be doing a build-off soon. The Diecast Sheriff, check him out too. Jim Silva's YouTube page, check out him. Richard at Michio Woods Garage, Diecast Pirate, and Michael Oxley. Check out those folks there. I want to thank Kenny Terry at Waterslide Decals. What a great job on those decals. I want to thank Howard at Bearcat Designs, and thank you, William Robinson, for helping me out with the 3D stuff.
This video was brought to you by the Redline Shop. The Redline Shop offers a complete line of decals, tools to take your car apart, put them back together, replacement hoods, replacement glass, those beautiful Redline tires, and of course, the world-famous Spectre Flame paints. Fantastic products. The Redline Shop at www.redlineshop.com, where Redlines come to life.
I want to thank you for joining me here at Diecast Graveyard today. My name is Paul. Check out the Bone Shaker Central page, folks, because these cars are going to go fast. If you want one, get a hold of Jesse at Bone Shaker Central. Y'all have a great day and thank you.